So now we're going to do a dinner on the griddle. I love scallops, so we're going to do scallops. Again, I'm going to put this grill on high. Fire that up. Let it heat up. One thing with scallops you want to look at is, I don't know if they're hard to find. Sometimes they're frozen, sometimes they're fresh. There's this muscle here. This is what attaches the scallop to the shell, so you want to remove these. It's easy. It looks like the rest of the scallop, but it's usually sometimes a little bit discolored, or it's not quite, it raises above the rest of the scallop, so it's kind of got a little bit of a bump, and it easily peels right off, and then you have a nice smooth scallop. So I've already done that with the rest of these, but I just wanted to show you in case you ever work with scallops. You probably don't want to eat this piece. It's kind of chewy. I've seen a lot of chefs do different things with them, but for general purposes, I would remove this from the scallop. This time around, I'm going to use some butter. First, I'll start with some oil. I'm going to cook on medium-high. More more medium, I think. We're going to cook. We'll start at medium. See where we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is scallops take a really short amount of time. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is get these potatoes going. I have these potato rounds. What I did was I blanched them ahead of time, so I cut them into these rounds, and then I cooked them in water, and I tossed them in a bowl with olive oil and the seasoning. And what happens is it forms. You can probably see it, but it's like a starchy crust on the outside of the potatoes, and they're really nice to crisp up in a skillet or roast in an oven. But I thought it would be perfect for this. It's a great dinner dish. It's actually nice. I'm doing asparagus, so you have this long, and you have this round, and then you have the scallops, which are round, so they'll look really pretty on the plate together. These are the weird things I think about when I'm cooking. So put these down. I'm going to get them started with a little bit of oil. Then I'm going to add butter. The sun finally came out. It doesn't look like a snowy day in New England anymore. Sometimes these break up a little bit once you cook them, or you toss them in the bowl, and that's to be expected, but it doesn't affect the flavor. Still delicious. So I'm going to let these crisp up. I'm actually going to turn this up a little bit more, just so I get a nice brown sear on there. And then I'm going to, in the meantime, get the next thing ready that I want to get ready, which is clean this pan off. Again, I love that paper towel holder right next to the griddle. You can reuse pans and not waste things. So what I'm going to do is I drain these scallops. I'm going to put them in this pan while those potatoes cook. Get them all in here and I'll show you real quick. So the scallops, put them on the flat side. I keep them real simple and I season it with salt and pepper. I personally don't flip scallops. I like to have them medium rare, so I get a really nice crust on the outside of the scallops, but I'm just going to season these with salt and pepper. Everything's pretty simply arranged. I'm going to put a little bit of oil, salt, pepper. I'll show you. And I only put salt and pepper on one side. I don't season both sides of the scallops, and I don't sear both sides of the scallops. Because I like to have a really nice, perfect crust on one side. I'm going to turn this middle part up a little bit too. Once I flip the potatoes, you can see these going pretty hard over here. Here's the scallops. Now that they've been seasoned with salt and pepper, that's going to form a really nice crust on these. So I'm just going to let these sit here for a minute. Get my asparagus ready as well. Same thing. Oil, salt, pepper. Real simple. Just gonna spray a little bit of oil here. That's it. Salt and pepper. And give it a toss in the pan. I usually mix them around a little bit on a flat, on a sheet pan or a cutting board, and I'm definitely going to have enough seasoning on here. You can always season it once it's on the grill if you want to, but I want to get a pretty good sear. I like to keep these al dente so they still have a bite to them. That's me. You do you. Check these out. Just need a couple more minutes. Let those go for a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to drop the scallops down. I'm actually going to cover these for a minute. Let them cook out briefly. Okay. This is going to have nice. See that crust on there? Beautiful crust on the potatoes. I'm going to move these over. Side of the grill. It's nice and hot. Turn. That's exactly what I want. Let these cook over here. So where those were now is a little bit cold, just because something was cooking on it. So I'm going to give it a second to reset, and I'll drop the scallops on there. Using olive oil again because I don't want it to smoke too hard. Just want them to get a really nice crust. Some space. Scallops, like mushrooms, when I cook them, there's something that I tend to not really touch a lot. Kind of let them do their thing. So these scallops, what's going to happen is they're going to start to form. You're going to start seeing there's like a little bit of white right there, and that's going to start moving up the side. And you don't want to move it. You want to let that crust form on there. This one's forming pretty well. See a little bit of that brown down there, but you definitely want it to be a little bit browner. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let them start to crawl up the side, get that brownness on there, and then I'm going to add a little bit of butter onto it. Crust. Perfect. be like mashed potatoes in the middle and crusty outside. Very exciting. Alright, so you can see that some of these scallops are starting to get a really nice crust. Still not going to flip them though. I'm going to give them another few minutes. Getting that. So let the asparagus cook with the scallops. These we're going to start putting on a platter. Like wine in a can. Alright, so I'm going to give these guys a quick flip. Look at that. Look at that crust. Perfect. There's always one that doesn't get the perfect color, but happy with the rest. I can't tell you how many times growing up in New England I had often overcooked scallops or just hammered. So these are exactly the way you want them. Nice crust on them, they look beautiful. You got a nice contrast, you get round, brown, green. Oh, I mean, come on, that's a perfect dinner. Put it on a plate, salad, it'll be awesome.